Howdy, it's that time again for a review of the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Season 2, Episode 5, Jen and Barrett. The episode begins with Lisa talking to her husband John about how she felt blindsided at the charity at Angie's house. Yes and no. It's clear Angie's a bit salty, but you have to consider it was a caterer who pulled out 5 hours after Angie told Lisa that Whitney was invited. Coincidence? Yeah, okay. And I'm 122 pounds. At least one of my shoes are. So I'm a bit confused after all this stuff and how Whitney read her, drug her, embarrassed her in front of her friends. Lisa wants to get with Whitney to patch things up. Lisa still doesn't understand why Whitney injected herself in her 24 relationship with Angie. After all, she's been a great friend to Whitney, but their relationship has become toxic. Moving on. Mary's making cookies. Cookies, I tell you. Mary visits Whitney's with homemade cookies. The kids are thrilled. Then in a Mary-only turn, Mary tells her family about a member of her church who dies in a horrific accident, and the person falls through the sunroof to her death. And then Mary sort of does a little, there's something about Mary I like. Dangerous, weird, said maybe say something about who I am as a person, but you never know what she's going to say. So Mary and Whitney talk about the fundraiser and how Whitney's always wanted to be friends with Lisa, but it's been difficult. And this is what I find interesting. Lisa says some real hard shit about Whitney, and she wants to be friends with this person. But maybe it's Mary that has the insight, because in her confessional, she says Mary says Whitney always wanted to be friends with Lisa because Lisa has this cool factor. We don't talk much about Heather this day because there's not much talk about Heather. Sorry, Heather. But there's good news in the Heather household. Her daughter Ashley had been accepted by the University of California, Santa Barbara, her first choice. The theme of this meeting, of this show, I think, is a meeting between Jen Shah and Meredith's son, Brooks. Jen meets with Meredith and her son, Brooks, at a restaurant. Mama Meredith wants to be there to support her son. But Brooks says, listen, Mom, I got this covered. And he wanted to talk to Jen alone. And Mom took her perch at the bar where she looked at her phone, or at least pretended to look at her phone. Jen thanked Brooks for coming and agreed to meet her. She told him that it broke her heart to learn that he was upset about her comments. She also went in to say that she didn't run her social media or her Twitter account, but she wanted to take responsibility for it, which is a lot for Jen Shah. But on the other hand, did she? Brooks tells her, look, he's been on his own journey of self-exploration, trying to figure out who he is as a person. He hasn't come out or anything, but it's kind of tough when people he knows is using weapons to like him, but like calling him a sissy bitch or some other derogatory. And it's difficult for him to talk about it. Perhaps that's why he didn't want his mother there. Jen apologizes for the negative comments made about Brooks on social media, still not taking responsibility and blaming her staff. Brooks said, look, the words he saw looked like something she would say. And those words had a negative, that had a negative effect on him, because the power of those words coming from a person like her took whatever voice he had away from him. Jen said she never outed him or intended to out him, and once again apologized, and even apologized to Meredith. And that apology to Mama went a long way, and I think they're healing. If you watch the Housewives, the best thing about the Housewives sometimes the husbands. We get to meet the husbands on this show. They're all on this show today, and or should I say Sunday night? We meet Lisa's husband's John, and we meet Whitney's husband's Justin, and Meredith's husband Seth, and Jen's husband Sharif. And why they agreed not to talk about the women, they end up talking about the women. You know, Seth is kind of out there. He wants to know, he just wants to confirm that everybody is still married and not divorced. And Seth decides that Justin and Whitney has the best marriage of all the men there. And then asks him about his sex life. They ain't having much sex life. Whitney's got a new business and things have slowed down. Seth, on the other hand, said he can have sex with Meredith anytime he wants, as long as he doesn't wake her. Sharif says, well, the women all started off wonderfully as friends, but, themes have deteriorated being on TV. Justin said the four is the most optimistic sons of bitches they've ever met. I love the men on all the shows. They bring life and humor, but at the same reason, that's a reason why they can't be housewife husbands, because it's over real quick. Meanwhile, there's a lunch with Jennifer and Whitney. The two get to meet each other for the first time. Jenny's the new cast member. And they talk about their lives and they share things. Whitney's starting a business that she's excited about. Jenny, on the other hand, has had several businesses, including a successful clinic business. And she sold all of those businesses so she could be with her family. For Jenny, family is more important than money. Their lives are interesting. Whitney has 2 kids, and she and Justin agreed after they had 2 kids together that Justin would get a vasectomy. But Whitney still wants kids. On the other hand, Jenny doesn't want kids. She has 3 kids. Her youngest is 9. She's had 13 miscarriages, and carrying another child would be dangerous for her, but her 50-year-old husband wants more kids. Jenny's 40. It ain't happening. Jenny came to the show as a friend of Lisa, and she says that Lisa's the type of person that doesn't say anything until she's done all of her facts. Whitney's shocked by this, saying, listen, that's not the Lisa I know. Whitney also says that some of the issues that Lisa and Whitney have is that they don't listen to each other, and they don't want to listen to each other. Meredith and Heather goes skiing, and they end up talking about sex with their kids, and Meredith have had the conversation, and it was something just wasn't done as a Mormon. Her parents didn't talk to sex about her, and now she's concerned about she hasn't had to talk with her kids. But I want to move on to the fakery of the night. Once again, Whitney read Lisa. And now Lisa wants to make nice. They meet at a restaurant that serves gin and pie. There's something going on in Utah that we don't know about. Gin and pie. Whitney is really curious about the meetings. Whitney says, look, we weren't friends. We just tolerate each other. Lisa feels that if she and Whitney get to a place that they understand each other, it could be a new beginning. But Whitney asks Lisa, do you have a problem with me? Lisa says, oh, no. No. Whitney says, look, I wanted to stand at the party. When I walked in the room, you said, what is that thing doing here? When you say rude things to me, what am I missing? Lisa said she was misinterpreted. She feels no anger towards Whitney. Lisa said there are a lot of misinterpretations of her actions and thought it would be better if they could get to a place where they could understand each other. Whitney again asks, have you got a problem with me? Lisa says, everything has been a misunderstanding. Whitney, when you say rude things, how am I misunderstanding your intentions? When you told Angie not to claim me as a cousin, what did I misunderstand? Lisa says she actually felt no anger or hostility towards Whitney. Whitney goes on and says, you drive me crazy. But maybe that's because Whitney wanted to be friends with Lisa. Whitney said maybe they just need to spend time to get past things. And she's really hopeful. And that's the thing that I don't understand with Whitney and Heather. Maybe it is. What Mary said, they want to be with a popular girl, but I believe that Lisa's a mean girl. She's always been popular. She's probably popular in high school. And I think it's that popularity that attracts Heather and Whitney, despite all the mean Shrek and nasty things she said about both of them. But perhaps I'm misinterpreting her actions. Meanwhile, see you next week. This is Rod Father wishing you love, joy, and happiness. Thank you for watching. Please be safe. We're out. The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Sundays on Bravo. Bye.